Yes, your country is not the only one to offer free senior high school education. In fact, there are over 10 African countries that offer free education at the upper secondary level. Interestingly, free senior high school education started way back in 2008 and the most recent one was in 2023. Now I ask, is the free senior high school education policy sustainable? I ask because a country like Botswana started free senior high school, stopped and reintroduced fees in 2006. So, will these 10 countries be able to maintain the free senior high school policy? Let's find out in this video. So here are the 10 African countries that offer free senior high school education, and we'll see if this policy is sustainable. Without wasting time, let's dive into the video. The first country we'll be looking at is Kenya. Kenya introduced free upper secondary education in 2008, and secondary education lasts for 4 years in Kenya. In fact, in 2018, the World Bank ranked Kenya as the top African country with the best educational system in Africa. Currently, primary education is free in Kenya, and the government subsidizes secondary education. This means that in all public secondary schools, tuition is free, but parents must pay their own boarding fees. Day secondary school education is free as the government pays about 22,244 shillings, which covers a lot including tuition and medical insurance. Will this policy last? Free senior high school education in Kenya may not last due to financial challenges. In 2023, the amount of money that was allocated to free senior high school only covered some of the students and not others. Nearly 1 million learners are at risk of being locked out of free SHS in Kenya in 2024. The second country we'll be talking about, surprisingly, is Rwanda. When you think about Rwanda, what comes to mind? A country riddled with political instability? You may be right. Rwanda is well known for one of the most horrific genocides after World War II, when the ethnic Hutus massacred over 800,000 Tutsis in Rwanda. Since then, Rwanda has come a long way. It is now a technological hub. Although it is still one of the least developed countries in Africa, it is actually a trendsetter when it comes to free senior high school education in Africa. In 2003, primary school fees were abolished, which resulted in one of the highest primary school enrollments in Rwanda on the continent. In 2008, Rwanda introduced free secondary school education, and over 3,150 new classrooms were constructed in 6 months, which greatly increased the infrastructure to support this new policy. Yes, tuition is free for public senior high schools in Rwanda, but is it truly free? Not really, because parents still have to pay PTA fees, registration fees, mock exam fees, and other fees. Will this free senior high school policy last? As of 2023, the Minister of Education in Rwanda announced that day students will have to pay about $20 and boarding students will have to pay about $85. So is this truly free and is this sustainable? The third country is the Gambia. Gambia introduced free education in stages. Free primary education in 2013, free lower secondary education in 2014, and free upper secondary education in 2015. In this free educational policy, Gambia took over the payments of fees that parents used to pay. The government pays the fees of all children, books, and other levies that parents used to pay. This free policy is not all inclusive, as parents still have to pay for uniforms and other stationery. Due to a lack of resources on the part of parents, this has led to poor education in the Gambia. Free secondary education policy in Gambia faces some challenges such as limited infrastructure, classrooms, learning and staff, which hinders the government to accommodate the growing number of students. Another major problem is that the Gambian educational sector receives little funding when compared to other sectors in the country. This begs the question whether the free SHS policy is sustainable. The fourth school is Namibia. In Namibia, secondary education lasts for 5 years, from grade 8 to grade 12. Senior secondary is 2 years. In all government schools in Namibia, primary education has been free since 2013 and secondary education has also been free since 2016. Although education is free, parents must still pay for uniforms, books, stationery, hostels, and school improvements. Is free secondary education policy sustainable in Namibia? Although the government has allocated over 20% of its national budget to education and teachers are adequately trained, teachers still lack specialized training and schools are always underperforming. The failure rate is very high and the school dropout rate is also very high. In fact, only 12% of students who completed senior high schools go to universities or even vocational training. This is truly a major problem in Namibia. Before we look at 5 of the most recent countries that have introduced free senior high school education in Africa, my name is Pat. Welcome to this channel. If you are new to this channel, Pat's Tune. Be sure to subscribe if you are interested in videos like these that bring you everything you need to know about the educational system, not only in Ghana, but in Africa. The 5th school is Tanzania. In 2016, the government introduced fee-free education policy for both primary and secondary school. Although the fees are covered, parents must still pay for uniforms and other learning materials. Secondary education in Tanzania has 2 levels, the O level from Form 1 through Form 4 and the A level from Form 5 and Form 6. There are 2 problems with the free SHS policy in Tanzania. First, the language barrier. In primary school, the mode of instruction is in Kiswahili, but in secondary school, the mode of instruction is in English. As a result, less than 30% of students actually attend secondary school, partly because of the language barrier. Secondly, the government has allocated over 137 billion of their local currency to education, the free SHS policy. But can it continue to invest a lot of money as enrollment increases over the years? Maybe, maybe not. The 6th country is Ghana. Since 2005, Ghana introduced free primary education, and as a result, Ghana has experienced nearly universal primary school completion. In 2017, it introduced free senior high school education, and as you may have guessed, this resulted in an 11% increase in school enrollment. This massive increment in enrollment saw the introduction of a new and interesting system known as the double track system. It involves the gold track and the green track. The green track goes to school first for a semester, goes on vacation, and then the gold track also goes to school. This massively reduces the congestion in schools and in the boarding houses. Ghana's free senior high school policy is the most comprehensive on the whole continent. This is because it not only covers fees, but covers registration fees, textbooks, uniforms, school meals, and even boarding facilities. Is this policy sustainable? Here is the challenge. The supply of textbooks and uniforms and even the quality of food is another matter. Additionally, the government has spent over 200 million Ghana cedis in the first year, which is almost half of its non-salary education budget on this free SHS policy. So is this policy financially sustainable? What do you think? Tell us in the comments. The 7th country to introduce free senior high school education is Sierra Leone. It introduced this policy in 2018. The program covers school feeding, uniforms, tuition fees, exercise and textbooks for pupils in pre-primary, primary and secondary schools. This policy ensures that 9 years of fee-free education is guaranteed for all children in government schools. Can free senior high school education be sustained in Sierra Leone? The major problem facing this policy in Sierra Leone is corruption. This is an interesting story. According to the Auditor General's reports in 2019 and 2020, $234 million disappeared due to embezzlement of funds in the state's Ministry of Education. Sadly, the corruption in Sierra Leone is not just monetary, it even affects donations. This is another interesting story. In 2019, the Chinese government donated 30,000 bags of rice to the Ministry of Education. Interestingly, only 3,000 bags were distributed. 90% of the rice disappeared. Looking at all these factors, can the policy truly be sustained? The 8th country is Malawi. Secondary school education in Malawi is in 2 cycles made up of 2 years each. In 1994, Malawi abolished primary school fees, and in 2019 it introduced free secondary education. Students do not pay tuition fees, and textbooks are also provided free of charge. The free education, however, does not cover boarding fees. Parents must provide or pay for their own boarding. Parents must also pay other fees, including examination fees. Needy students who cannot pay their boarding fees are allocated to community day secondary schools. What are the challenges with this free senior high school policy in Malawi? Some education experts say that free SHS in Malawi may result in the low standard or quality of education among students in senior high schools. The 9th school we are looking at is Zambia. Currently, education is free from early childhood to secondary school in all government-run schools in Zambia. Free senior high school education was introduced in Zambia in 2022. In 2023, the government allocated over 23 billion Zambian kwacha to the educational sector. These funds were used to recruit over 30,000 teachers, to build 120 new senior high schools, and to pay PTA dues. But is this enough? The government has negotiated for an additional $120 million to support free SHS to combat some challenges such as inadequate desks, teachers, and classrooms. In the coming years, will this be enough to sustain the free senior high school policy? The most recent country to introduce free senior high school education policy is South Sudan in 2023. In South Sudan, secondary education lasts for 4 years with English as the primary means of instruction. Shockingly, in South Sudan, 70% of school-aged children are not attending primary or secondary school, and the school dropout rate is around 61%. And so by expanding free education, the government is headed in the right direction. Currently, less than 22% of teachers are on the government's payroll, and so to sustain free senior high school education, more teachers will have to be recruited, and free school meals will also have to be introduced to incentivize families to send their children to school. What are the best secondary schools in Africa? Click on this video to find out. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you also want to read more about this topic, visit my website, patstune.org. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next video.